We're live.
Good evening. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Bangor City Council. It is April 27th, 2026. The computer says it's 7 p.m., so we just slid under the wire. Okay. We start all of our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Pastor Dinkins, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for doing that. Okay. This is the portion of the meeting set aside for general public comment directly related to city business for matters that do not appear on this evening's agenda. Public comment requires a person to state your name and whether you are a resident of Bangor. The City Council has adopted a public comment policy that we will adhere to. Statements during public comment should respect the dignity and seriousness of the proceeding, and individuals will be restricted to speaking once. Obscene, truly threatening, or overly repetitive comments will be deemed out of order and will be interrupted and removed. Topics that are considered out of order also include matters that are in litigation, individual employees or employee groups discussing matters for which complaint or grievance procedures are in place. Personal disputes between the speaker and another resident not germane to city business. Support for or opposition to any candidate for political office, and personal complaints pertaining to individual city employees. There is a time limit of 3 minutes per speaker, and the total time allowed for general public comment regarding city business will be limited to no more than 1 hour. The public comment period is for city council members to listen and not to respond or debate with persons. If you do not live in Bangor or own property in Bangor, please allow those who do to have the opportunity to speak first. If you'd like to offer comment on any item directly related to city business not appearing on the regular agenda, you may approach the podium. Individuals who have appropriately pre-registered to give public comment via remote means will be given the opportunity to participate remotely. Alternatively, counselors may be reached via email at counselors@bangormaine.gov. A link to the adopted public policy comment can be found on the city's website.
Council Chair, excuse me, could we have a roll call vote for attendance, please?
Yes, this would be a good time to do that.
Councilor Beck?
Present.
Councilor Carson?
Present.
Councilor Dean?
Here.
Councilor Falloon?
Here.
Councilor Fish?
Here.
Councilor Leonard?
Live and breathing.
Councilor Mallor?
Here.
Councilor Walker?
Present.
Councilor Hawes?
Here.
9 present, 0 absent.
Okay. We do have 2 proclamations this evening. I hear one of our guests now. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Proclaiming April 30th as National Therapy Animal Day. Whereas there are thousands of Pet Partners therapy animal teams serving in communities across the United States, and whereas therapy animal teams in Bangor, including those affiliated with Pet Partners of Eastern Maine, and the Code of Therapy Day program at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center, are part of a growing network of more than 30 teams locally, with continued expansion across the state of Maine. And whereas these teams provide meaningful support across hospitals, schools, colleges, libraries, grief and bereavement programs, nursing homes, workplace wellness initiatives, and community settings, becoming increasingly woven into the fabric of our community. And whereas therapy animal teams have helped individuals overcome fear, supported children in developing literacy and confidence, provided comfort and healing to those who are injured or grieving, and sat vigil with people at the end of life, offering presence, peace, and dignity. And whereas therapy animal teams are utilized in times of crisis and trauma, including providing support to first responders and community members following critical incidents. And whereas scientific research demonstrates that therapy animal interactions can reduce stress, lower blood pressure, decrease anxiety and depression, and improve overall emotional and physical well-being. And whereas therapy animal teams play an essential role in strengthening community connection, resilience, and well-being through the human-animal bond. Now, therefore, I, Susan Dean, on behalf of Susan M. Hawes, Mayor of the City of Bangor, on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Bangor, do hereby proclaim April 30th as National Therapy Animal Day in recognition of the vital work conducted by therapy animal teams in Maine and beyond. And I would like to present this to Stacy Coventry, Director of Pet Partners of Eastern Maine. And thank you so much for all you do. Stacy, did you want to make any comments?
I just want to thank everybody for this wonderful opportunity. This is Coda, of Code Coda. Coda is 15 and a half and is retiring from therapy dog work, this year. And, Pigeon is my new partner, thanks to Giovanna for sharing her with me. And we started off as one team and now we have over 30. And we're grateful for the support of the city, and for everybody who supports our work. So this is a really big day and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Coda.
Thank you, Councilor Dean. We also have another proclamation, and Councilor Fish.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The proclamation is recognizing the important work of warming shelters in Bangor. Whereas warming shelters provide a critical resource for people experiencing housing instability during the cold months. And whereas warming centers in Bangor are operated by emergency shelters, churches, and other community-based organizations that provide cots, blankets, food, avenues to resources, and other services. And whereas warming shelters can face difficult operational challenges such as insufficient funding and a shortage of volunteers to maintain staffing levels. And whereas shelter leaders indicated in the fall of 2025 that warming centers may be forced to close, prompting the city of Bangor to partner with them to find solutions. And whereas the City Council responded in October of 2025 by redirecting $60,000 in state general assistance funds for the city to 2 warming shelters, and then a month later approved another $60,000 in GA monies for the same shelters. And whereas the 2 warming shelters, Brick Church and Together Place, joined with 2 other Bangor shelters, the Mansion Church and the Well Warming Center, Jericho Road, to provide aid to those living outside during the winter. And whereas the overnight centers collectively gave shelter and assistance to approximately 120 people on the hardest winter evenings, and whereas they have proven invaluable in the providing support services to the most vulnerable people in our community. Whereas they have proven invaluable, I guess I'll just repeat that, providing support and services to our most vulnerable community. Now, therefore, I, Carolyn Fish, on behalf of our mayor, Susan Hawes, in the city of Bangor, and on behalf of the city council and the citizens of Bangor, do hereby express deep appreciation for the work and commitment shown by the warming shelters in our city of Bangor, given this 27th day of April of 2026. We have Okay. Are there representatives from these warming shelters would like to come up and receive this? Thank you very much for your work.
You can.
That's your first line. Maybe you guys can share mine. Oh, thank you very much. Take a quick photo. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, do we have the consent agenda? Oh, no, we got to do public comment. Okay. Who would like to be first for public comment? Just a couple of reminders. It must not be on the agenda. And as people are speaking, please keep the conversation in the audience to a minimum because it's very distracting for the speakers. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me. My name is Brian Cattell. I moved back to Bangor about 3 years ago. I live up in Little City. I'd like to speak on the unhoused or homeless situation in town. Let me first qualify myself. About 17 years ago, I experienced a brief stint of homelessness in the depths of my addiction down in South Florida. I even left needles in a bush one time to come back to later, and I did not go back and get them. I'm 16 years sober now, and I have worked in addiction and the mental health field. Now, I have a little anecdote here. I'm not a parent, but I am an uncle, and I strive to be the coolest uncle possible. And when I spend time with my sister's 3 kids, I love nothing more than to give them total freedom. But I quickly learned that it was important to have healthy and well-defined boundaries. I suppose that's true with any relationships, friendship, business, romance, a relationship with the citizens that the citizens have with the city. Now, what happened with my sister's kids with no boundaries is things got out of hand quickly. And even though I loved them, I got resentful and angry because they were doing things I didn't like, sometimes dangerous things. But it wasn't fair because they didn't know the boundaries. In turn, they got mad at me, but once I established clear guidelines, everything came together. And although the population camped outside the library aren't children, I think the comparison is sound. I can also say that when I was living in that existence, I was not in a place to make the best decisions for myself. It took a lack of options to force me into a position of compliance that was best for me, for my family, and as society as a whole. I would also like to share a story from my childhood. My mom had a hair salon on Cross Street back in the late 80s, early 90s. One evening, I came out and a man was defecating in a shopping cart across the parking lot from the street. My dad came out and yelled at him to stop. I was really confused and I was really scared. It wasn't a dangerous situation, but I was scared. That memory has stuck so long with me that it's even here today that I'm talking to you about it now, 30 years later. I've placed a free art exchange in the library, and right now it's very difficult for me to encourage people to go to the library to enjoy this free art exchange. I also volunteered to do a cleanup last weekend. I hit the trail, and it was clean overall, but I did find a few needles off trail. In trying to battle the constant negativity I see online, it's difficult to do so in the face of these realities. And honestly, one needle is too many, and it does pose a serious safety issue for the population as a whole. I'm not against harm reduction, and I'm not against providing people the opportunity for safe use, but it needs to be done responsibly with clear boundaries. We are kicking off the first Friday art walks again. I'm helping out with it. Oh man, I had more. Can I keep going or?
No, sir, I'm
No?
sorry. It's a
All right.
3-minute limit.
Would you guys like to have this copy of what I've written up so you can take a look at it later? Sure. This Friday.
Hi, my name is Kiri Peachnini. I'm a Bangor resident, I live on Market Street. We're kicking off the first Friday art walks again. It's hard to encourage people to come downtown. The situation is not only negatively affecting the people who are living in it, it's affecting the prosperity of the entire city. And that costs us emotionally and economically. And that also affects our ability to help the people who need help. So what's the solution? I don't know exactly, but what I do know is that whatever this is, it's not it. I think sweeps are inhumane. To throw away someone's possessions is not only cruel, it further entrenches the mistrust that keeps people from trusting a system that wants to help. I used to be all about total freedom. We can see that doesn't work, and I was mistaken in my position. Any good relationship is founded on strong boundaries. The law is largely ineffective on those who have nothing to lose, and I know this firsthand. So a viable solution, long-term solution, is probably complicated and expensive. I hope the Homeless Outreach Committee can find effective long-term solutions. But we need to do something now. Our summer is here, and I hope for Bangor to flourish while not ignoring the deeper issues we have. I believe the best solution is, or what I would suggest, is some sort of sanctioned encampment that should not be in front of our public library or on the trail or under a highway, rather a place where folks can be close to helpful resources, more helpful than a tin public toilet. Once that has been established and is being utilized, the committee will have the time and space to formulate a more comprehensive plan. I don't envy your position, and I'm grateful for your service. No matter what you do, people will be upset. I know it's not on your agenda tonight either, but I urge you to take action to alleviate the pressure and stigma on downtowns so that we can all thrive as a community. Not once the committee is formulated, and not next month, not next week, now, please. And as a final note, I just want to remind everyone that it's okay to be wrong, it's okay to try things and find out it doesn't work. And what's not okay is to do nothing. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Katie Coe. I'm a homeowner and a resident of Bangor. And following up on that, I would like to remind counselors that the Homelessness Committee has a goal to have 3 members with lived experience being unhoused on this committee. Top-down legislation rarely works as intended. Having folks with lived experiences being unhoused on the committee is essential for making sure our solutions work. Don't waste committee time and the city's money by funding ineffective solutions. Our money and our money and time will be best used when folks with lived experience are part of the process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trisha Quirk, I'm a French Street resident and proud to be here in Bangor. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. I think that was very well said. And I feel, and I've been asked lately, what is the line between helping and enabling? For instance, I am not against harm reduction, but I also feel that it's harmful for people to defecate on the streets of Bangor. It's harmful for me to have to clean it up. It's a chance for me to get HIV as well without collecting needles. I also have learned lately that although the city of Bangor does not is not able to accept or sanctify needle exchanges, I've learned that 100 needles can be given to one person before there's an exchange of one needle. And I've also learned at our little church on the Universalist Unitarian Church on Park Street, last month they collected 30,000 needles last month. The city of Bangor has 32,000 residents. We nearly collected one needle per resident. And so if 30,000 needles were collected, how many did we give out last month? And it is starting to affect the businesses downtown when people are canceling appointments because the front of their business is littered with needles. So please, if there's any way we can enforce our ordinances that we already have and make the city better for everybody. I mean, the unhoused, the taxpayers, everybody needs to live in this beautiful city. So if that's what our goal needs to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good evening. My name is Michael Norton. I've been in Bangor for about 7 years. Filmmaker. I just finished writing my first 2-hour motion picture screenplay featuring Batman and Superman. It's a feat for me, and it's an economic opportunity for Bangor because movies are made with microphones and cameras and people. Last speaker just kindly told us there are 35,000 people here. We don't need 35,000 people to make a Hollywood motion picture, but the governor's office of New York and the governor's office of Georgia and California, always, if you watch the credits at the end of the movies at the theaters, they always have their logos on there. The film offices do. Why can't Bangor do that? Why can't there be a bond deal with Bangor to employ Bangorians to make a Hollywood motion picture of all ages, with all ages? They're not made with syringes and needles. They're made with cameras and microphones. The syringes and needles sellers need to make more responsible employees to come to these meetings and express to us why they're trashing Bangor with them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Suzette Furrow. I'm a resident of Bangor. The opinions I express are my own and do not represent any of those of any committees which I am a member. My comments are about the rules governing public comment at the council meetings. The rules are read prior to public comment by the chair regarding the need to state your name and whether you are a resident of Bangor. At the last city council meeting held on April 13th, 8 individuals spoke regarding comments made by Councillor Maller. The names of the 8 individuals are not included in the minutes. One person only gave their first name. Another person dressed in a costume gave either a false name or an inaudible name. People were allowed to speak without revealing whether they were a resident of Bangor. Some people spoke who were not residents of Bangor and were allowed to speak before residents of Bangor. I request that going forward, the rules for public comment be enforced, and if they are not, that a council member calls a point of order regarding the public comment rules not being followed. Also, if the council will not call a point of order, a member from the public may be allowed to call a point of order regarding this rule. I would also like to speak regarding the presence of flock surveillance cameras being placed throughout our city. My husband, Michael, and I sent an email to all of the city councilors on April 12th, stating our concerns and information about the flock surveillance system. I think the public should be aware that these flock cameras are located in Bangor. To find out where the cameras are located, you can go to don'tgetflocked.com and see a map of where they are located. Who authorized these cameras with license plates readers? Who is funding these cameras? Where is the data collected from these cameras going, and how long is it being stored? Who has access to the data being collected? Does the Bangor Police Department have a data agreement with Flock? Flock is encouraging installations of these cameras without the oversight of the citizens throughout the United States. Go to don'tgetflocked.com to see where these cameras are in our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Paul Medora. I'm a Bangor homeowner. I wasn't always a homeowner. I spent 2 years homeless in my early 20s. I was homeless in all 48 lower states. I met dozens, if not hundreds, of other homeless people. And I say without doubt that the majority of the homeless in Bangor are committing felonies every single day. I remind you that possession of a Schedule W drug is a felony. The police should be allowed to deal with these crimes as they are, and the court should take these drug and larceny charges as seriously as it does things like, for example, driving after suspension. The more resources available to the homeless, the more we will have. In San Francisco for a time, I was housed in a high-rise apartment complex that was built specifically for the homeless. After many decades of approaching the problem the way we are, San Francisco remains a top destination for the homeless and has more of them than ever. Over 8,000 of them roam those streets today, up from approximately 6,500 when I was there in 2012. The public safety implications are obvious, but San Francisco is also a city of over 800,000, most of whom contribute to the tax base. We are a city of less than 35,000 with an average hourly wage of $18 an hour, and we are apparently expected to look after an ever-increasing number of non-contributors. As far as I understand it, our homeless proportion is about double theirs. So far, all the efforts of this city government have resulted in more, not less, homeless. Moreover, continually raising taxes to provide for them contributes to homelessness by making housing less affordable. Other towns send their homeless here. Brewer Police, for one, are known to direct them here, and Bangor taxpayers are expected to provide limitless care for them. Why can't we just send these people back where they came from and limit our resources to Bangor people who've fallen on hard times? Using the same failed strategies as places like San Francisco, New York, and Denver will yield the same or worse results. It is time to get more creative. It is time to actively prosecute the criminals in that community and use the resources saved in so doing to provide real help to the minority who are in that situation through no fault of their own.
Thank you.
Hillary Simmons, resident of Bangor. I'm here today because many residents are frustrated, concerned, and tired of watching the same problems continue year after year with very little improvement. Homelessness and drug addiction are serious issues. They affect real people, real families, real neighborhoods, and real businesses. No one should speak about these issues without compassion, but compassion does not mean ignoring failure. Compassion does not mean funding the same approaches forever while the problem gets worse. At some point, we have to ask an uncomfortable question. Do our city leaders have a real plan to solve homelessness and drug use, or have they become comfortable managing it? Because from the outside, it often feels like the system is built to keep the crisis going. Every year, more money is requested, more programs are proposed, more committees are formed, more public statements are made, but residents still see people sleeping outside. They still see open drug use. They still see needles, overdoses, crimes, unsafe parks, struggling businesses in neighborhoods being asked to tolerate conditions that would never be accepted elsewhere. City councilors may say they care, but caring is not enough. Intentions are not results. If the policies being supported do not reduce homelessness, do not reduce drug use, do not improve public safety, and do not move people into treatment, recovery, housing, independence, then those policies need to be questioned. We also have to recognize the homelessness and addiction have become politically useful issues. They bring funding, they bring attention, they justify new positions, new contracts, new programs, and new spending. They allow leaders to appear compassionate while avoiding the harder work of demanding measurable outcomes. That creates a serious concern. When a crisis becomes part of the political structure, there may be less urgency to actually end it. I am not saying that every city councilor wants people to suffer, but I am saying that the current approach allows suffering to continue, and when leaders continue defending policies that are not working, residents have every right to question whose interests are really being served. Are we serving the people that are living on the streets? Are we serving the families who want safe neighborhoods? Are we serving the taxpayers funding these programs? Are we serving local businesses trying to survive? Or are we serving a system that benefits from keeping the crisis visible, funded, and unresolved? The goal should not be normalize homelessness. The goal should be to end it. The goal should not be to make drug use more acceptable in public spaces. The goal should be recovery, treatment, accountability, and public safety. The goal should not be endless funding with no clear results. The goal should be measurable progress. City councilors need to be held accountable for outcomes, not speeches. We need to know how many people are actually being housed permanently.
Thank you.
I usually go first. I'm glad to go near the end. My name is Scott Party, and I'm a resident of Bangor. I return to this podium because the situation in Bangor has shifted from a systemic concern to an active crisis. The recent reports regarding our public parks and the unhoused population confirm a cycle of havoc that is now impacting every resident, business owner, and family in this community. However, let's be honest about the proposed solutions. Spending nearly $700 per day to patrol parks and shifting gate hours is nothing more than an expensive shell game. We are currently paying a premium to move people from one sidewalk to another. For decades, this city has relied on the out of sight, out of mind philosophy that has clearly failed. Breaking up small encampments without a viable destination doesn't solve the issue. It merely relocates the misery, ensuring that the horrible consequences remain volatile and dangerous for everyone involved. Furthermore, the suggestion that we can simply appropriate fund balances or look toward the next budget cycle to manage this chaos is a veiled threat to the taxpayer. Let me be absolutely clear, increasing taxes is not an option. The citizens of Bangor are at the breaking point already, squeezed by the incredible rising costs of utilities, heat, and basic necessities. They are tired of seeing their hard-earned money funneled into reactive, temporary bandages while the underlying issues only worsen. If any member of this council votes to increase the tax burden on our residents to fund these failing cycles, you must be prepared to own the consequences. You will own the financial displacement of our seniors. You will own the financial displacement of our renters that are living in the 50%, and the frustration of a public that feels fundamentally ignored. Stop the shuffling, stop the reactive spending, do the right thing, and be beholden to all the citizens of Bangor. We need fiscal restraint and a strategy that actually changes the reality on the ground rather than one that just tries to hide it. I also wanted to speak briefly about the needle exchange. That was brought on during COVID, and hasn't that been sunsetted? Isn't there something the city can do so that we do? I am definitely a harm reduction guy, but we need to have a needle exchange that's exchange, needle for needle. And I think the city can do something about that too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Zach Bednaz, and I'm a resident on Grove Street in Bangor. Council members, the city manager's suggestion regarding the city parks and day space before you regarding park closures and increased police details, it is another example of expensive reactive policy that fails to address the root of the crisis. We all know that the warming center is closed. Our unhoused neighbors would have nowhere to go but our public spaces. Now, the city's response is to spend upwards of $680 per day on police details or to enforce compliance, essentially paying to shuffle human beings from one sidewalk to another. Breaking up the small encampments does nothing but relocate the problem. It is a shell game that wastes taxpayers' resources without providing a single long-term solution. If we continue to push people into the shadows of different neighborhoods, we are simply opting for an out-of-sight, out-of-mind approach. This is the same cycle that Bangor has been stuck in for decades, and it clearly has failed. We need staff and leadership to actually confront the reality of the unhoused population, not just hide it to preserve the aesthetics of the park. Shifting hours and increasing patrols are temporary bandages on a gaping wound. We must stop the endless cycle and relocation and prioritize strategies that actually move the needle, rather than spending thousands of dollars to simply move people across the street. Stay focused on sustainable solutions, not expensive diversions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shay Mullaney. I am a resident of Old Town, but I am a professional resident of Bangor since 2022. And for the past 3 years, I have been providing homeless services here in Bangor every day to that population. I can say that the majority of my clients come from Penobscot or Piscataquis County. They don't come from elsewhere. And I can also say, we've talked a lot about the failure, but I would like to take a minute to talk about some of the successes. In a program that is well-funded, that is run by the right organization, we have outcomes like this. I don't speak for a particular organization, I speak for myself, but I can say I have personally assisted with 40+ positive housing outcomes in the last 3 years. That's 40 people who did not join the homeless population or were there, and then we were able to find them a place. I have gotten them jobs. I have helped them stay in their jobs. I have helped gotten them into higher education here. I have helped them stay in higher education here. I have hooked them up with resources that are available that they may or may not have known existed, and I have helped them move from being on the street of Bangor into being a productive citizen here. There are programs that work as designed. They create those positive outcomes. And that money is not just thrown into a pot. Jobs, we are paid. Where do we live? Where do we play? Where do we eat? Where do we spend our money? Everybody working in homeless services in Bangor is spending all of that here in Bangor, and many of us live in Bangor as well. So we have that interest. All of the supplies that go into running a homeless services program are purchased locally here in Bangor. So that all cycles immediately back into the local economy. It isn't just thrown out the window. And that's just the actual dollars spent on a daily basis to solve the problem. So yes, the challenges are great. But as a community, there are some solutions that have worked and can continue to work if we focus on those solutions rather than other things that may not have a track record. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Larry Danziger. I live in Old Cape Art, and I support many of the things that were said, not all, but many of them. And what I'm hoping to suggest to you is that as of 5 weeks ago, you didn't know anything maybe about the urban garden tour, but hopefully you got something that I passed around then. And I'm hoping that you all will respond to that in some way. This is a lot easier than figuring out how to house people that don't have a place to live. So, you know, it's kind of a piece of cake, actually a piece of carrot cake maybe. So I hope you will respond to this by letting me know through my phone number on the letter how we can get together, talk about what the council, what the city of Bangor can do to support an urban garden tour, which is actually, besides being a nice event, it's a very environmental thing too. And the one question I would hope you will think about between now and when we talk about the urban garden tour again is why would does it make more sense to grow grass that you can't eat, you can't use, and you have to keep cutting? Or is it better to produce some vegetables, fruits, flowers, and other things that you don't have to cut? They provide beauty, they provide good food for you. So I'm hoping somebody will contact me tomorrow about what the city can do to support the urban garden tour. Thanks.
Thank you.
I have a question first. Will we be able to speak on the ethics referral when it comes up, or do I need to speak now?
No, you can speak on the referral.
What's that?
Speak on the referral.
Okay. I'll hold comment till then. Thank you.
Anyone else? We have just one person. Pardon? Oh, on remote. Okay, fine. Yes.
Hi, my name is Andrea McCall. I'm Bangor resident. My pronouns are English is my second language. City Council deals with the residents of Bangor. They deal with the residents of Bangor, whether they're homeowners, whether they're renters, seniors in a rental like myself, or whether the residents happens to be under the picnic table for the day. You know, it's a sad situation with the residents. I am the child of immigrants. When my family came here, thanks to a certain senator from Wisconsin, we were treated like the other. We were not welcome. So it pains me. It's a visceral pain to see other human beings treated like the other. My parents may have been immigrants, but they told me to treat people with compassion, whether they looked like me, whether they didn't look like me, whether I liked them, whether I didn't like them, whether they did things I liked, whether they did things I didn't like. So I believe that all human beings should treat all human beings with compassion. It pains me to see a class of people, a group of people treated as the other. It didn't feel good when I was a little kid. I'm sure it does not feel good to anybody now to be treated that way. If the owner of 99 Farm Road wanted to really give back to the community, perhaps they could donate that to become some kind of a residence for that. Minus, of course, the handcuff bars and the detention room. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Kelsey Heidemann. I supervise the PATH team, which is a specialized case management program for homeless during the day. And this winter had the privilege of supervising the Sanctuary Warming Center. I do work in homeless services. I have a very specialized team of 6 folks who go out every day and deliver outreach and case management services to unhoused neighbors. I'd love to have a discussion at some point about the YMCA. As we are all specialized in running low barrier services, we have the connections to the right team and believe that this could create an effective zero homelessness strategy. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none?
Regular shoes. My name's Evangeline White. I'm a resident of Brewer, right across the Union Street Bridge. But I've been a small business owner for the past 8 years downtown. I was a homeless teen and I did struggle with heroin addiction. It's because of programs like the Needle Exchange that I'm alive now and I get to be a good mom and be a contributing member to our community. I think the number that was mentioned earlier of 30,000 needles being exchanged last month, it sounds astronomical, but I'd like to look at it as if those were turned in, then that's not on the street. So my business is on Center Street. It's right across the street from Bagel Central. I'm not afraid of unhoused people. I'm not afraid for my clients. I did grow up in New York, so it seems a little like less of a crisis to me here. I mean, it is absolutely a crisis, but it doesn't feel scary like it might scare some people. What I'm more afraid of is not looking at the situation with compassion. I am afraid of the teenage girls and children that are unhoused, that are on Central Street daily, who don't have access to permanent solutions for like permanent housing. It's amazing to see so many people who work daily and work so hard to take care of our unhoused community members. And it's really inspiring to hear so many people speak up for them. I don't think that less services is the answer. That seems pretty counterproductive, but I think more permanent solutions would be helpful. The rent right now is astronomical. I think that a rent cap is dire and necessary. I know I work very hard. I work 5 days a week and I still struggle to make rent monthly because it's so high. I didn't come prepared, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, may I ask the speaker a follow-up question?
We don't generally do that.
We have in the past. Do you mind if I ask you a follow-up question, if you don't mind? Do you mind if I ask you a follow-up question, if you don't mind? Yes. So, what do you think your cost of living has, how much has that increased over the years to this date? Let's say in the last, like, even just 1 year.
When I moved into my apartment on School Street in Brewer, my rent was $850. So I did actually, and now it is $1350. And I lost my housing voucher when my daughter was about 3 or 4 years old because my rent went so high. Section 8 refused to pay for it any longer. I couldn't find a home that I could afford. We had our pets there, we were comfortable there. So it made more sense to just pay more instead of finding a different home because at the time, a few years ago, I couldn't. But my rent has more than doubled in the past 6 or 7 years.
Thank you so much for that revealing question. I talked with another person actually who, when I was on my way to council, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I thought that they were homeless actually, but they weren't. We got to talking, and turns out this person lived in the apartment I used to live in with their retired husband, who is a Navy veteran, who takes in $1,200 a month. She takes in $900 a month. I paid, when I left there in 2022, I think it was $975 a month. She and her husband are paying $1,550 for that apartment. I like what you said earlier about talking about a cap in some way, because I don't think people are going to be able to survive much longer at this current rate. So thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing your struggles. I very much appreciate it.
I'd also like to add that with my landlord doesn't anything and absolutely anything. And the windows are all old and I've had to cut off upstairs. We've been over the winter, we live downstairs and cut off the upstairs because heating is so intense. The none of the utilities are included in the rent either. So I don't think most people can't afford to live here anymore. Working people. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no others, our remote person is waiting to speak on an agenda item when we get there. So, Madam Clerk. Public comment, yeah, we've done that. Consent agenda, please.
Minutes of Bangor City Council regular meeting of April 13th, 2026. 26-143 order authorizing the city manager to endorse a subordination agreement and an amendment to the development agreement for Pike Development to pursue financing for the purchase of the property located at 8 Harlow Street. 26-144 order authorizing an application for reimbursement from the state of Maine for costs related to implementing LD 1184 and other housing related laws. 26-145 order authorizing the city manager to execute a seasonal land lease for the use of a portion of land and building structure within the airport shuttle lot located at 762 Main Avenue with Enterprise Rent-A-Car Company of Boston LLC. 26-146 order authorizing a Wabanaki Veterans Memorial in Broad Street Park. 26-147 order authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Sheridan Construction for construction manager at risk services for the Community Connector Cold Storage Facility Project. 26-148 order authorizing the disposition of city-owned land on Sherman Avenue for affordable housing development. 26-149 order authorizing the use of city-owned land on Sherman Avenue for affordable housing purposes and declaring said use a public purpose under the Community Development Block Grant Program.
I move council's consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I wanted to have 26-143 moved to new business from the consent agenda.
Okay. Need to have a vote.
You don't need a vote. It's just
Just remove
any counselor can request the removal of an item from the consent agenda. It will go to
new
the
business.
beginning of new business or
Yes.
to the beginning of new business. Yeah.
I guess I'll make a motion to move the amended consent agenda.
Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the amended consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none,
Roll call on everything.
it's coming. We'll have a roll call vote.
Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Carson,
Yes.
Counselor Dean,
Yes.
Counselor Falloon,
Yes.
Counselor Fish,
No.
Counselor Leonard,
Yes.
Counselor Mallor,
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Counselor Hawes,
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
Okay, the consent agenda has passage, 8 yes, 0 no. Referrals to committee and first reading?
There were no, there was
Wasn't
yes,
no.
1 no. Yeah.
26-150 ordinance, amending City of Bangor Code, Part 1, Administrative Legislation, Chapter 23, Boards, Committees, and Commissions, Section 35 through 38 respectively, to modify membership, election of officers, and meetings quorum for the Downtown Parking Advisory Committee, first reading. 26-151 resolve, authorizing the city manager to accept and appropriate $7,852,320 in FY '23 bus and bus facilities competitive grant for the construction of a workforce development training center and the rehab of the coal bus barn facility for Community Connector, first reading.
Move these items be referred.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that these items be referred to committee and first reading. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Carson,
Yes.
Counselor Dean,
Yes.
Counselor Falloon,
Yes.
Counselor Fish,
Yes.
Counselor Leonard,
Yes.
Counselor Mallor,
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Counselor Hawes,
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
These items will be referred to committee, 9 yes, 0 no. Unfinished business.
26-095 ordinance, amending the code of the city of Bangor to establish Chapter 46, Employee Authority in Immigration Matters. Counselor Beck.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This ordinance establishes clear limits on the city of Bangor's involvement in federal immigration enforcement, consistent with federal and state law, in order to prioritize public safety, community trust, and the responsible use of municipal resources. The ordinance makes explicit that Bangor does not operate its departments, programs, or public safety services for the purpose of enforcing federal civil immigration laws. It affirms that city employees will continue to comply with all valid federal and state laws, judicial warrants, subpoenas, and court orders, and will continue to cooperate fully in the investigation of and prosecution of criminal activity. What this ordinance does is draw a firm line between local public safety responsibilities and federal civil immigration enforcement. The ordinance is grounded in a public safety rationale when residents are afraid that routine interactions with local government could expose them or their family members to immigration enforcement. They are less likely to report crimes, seek emergency assistance, cooperate with investigations, or access basic city services. This ordinance is intended to preserve trust between the city and the people it serves, which is essential to effective policing, emergency response, and community well-being. Furthermore, this policy ensures that Bangor's limited tax dollars are reserved for local safety priorities rather than being diverted to unfunded federal enforcement mandates. This ordinance affirms that Bangor's role is to keep its residents safe, uphold the law, and ensure transparency and accountability in the use of public resources, not to serve as an extension of federal civil immigration enforcement. The Government Operations Committee discussed this draft ordinance at its March 2nd, 2026 meeting. After discussion, the committee voted not recommended passage of this draft due to the legal concerns and administrative challenges with the city implementing a distinct local framework governing employee engagement with administration enforcement officials with a new similar state law is expected to take effect July 2026. Instead, the committee recommended council pass an order directing the city to begin complying with state law immediately and to formalize a written procedure to assist staff, which was done with Council Order 26110. Council Order 2610 was passed on March 9th, 2026. Madam Chair, I move passage of 26095.
Second.
Madam Chair, I move to amend the body of the pending ordinance by substitution with the provided text, which was provided to each counselor in print this evening.
Second.
Okay. This is by substitution.
Yeah, requires roll call vote.
Okay. Do you have a question, Councilor Carson?
I have a couple, I think a question and a comment. At the last council meeting and prior, I think I've probably been pretty consistent since March 2nd. But at the last council meeting, it was pretty clear to me that we had a review with department heads that was underway. And so I think one question would be if it's okay for our city solicitor, maybe could let me know where we are in that process. And I'll comment that I appreciate, Councillor Beck, the language that's being substituted as it relates to solving a challenge that was brought forward by the airport. But in not having the full review back from the rest of the department heads, to me, that is not us completing the job of due diligence. And so I had a different vision of this process, and maybe I'm a little bit confused. But in my vision, what I anticipated was that we would hear a review on what we've already asked. And then after that, we would have the opportunity to discuss and debate the merits of what is brought back to us by various department heads. And then we would be able to have the opportunity to edit this and to move forward. I'm not in favor of substituting any document tonight, because the question that we asked was on a previous version. And every time, in my opinion, taking one version and substituting it with something else is adding to the question that we've already asked. So right? If I ask somebody to review a previous version and we substitute this one tonight, it almost makes the question that I asked a couple weeks ago kind of irrelevant, unless I ask it again for them to review another version, even though the changes are minimal. And I'm not in favor of any more substitutions right now. I really would like to hear from our department heads and finish our due diligence review.
Councilor Fish?
Likewise, I think we have had some feedback from our legal, and I know we did last week or a couple of weeks ago in public meeting. Jose did come up and pointed out some concerns, and even though I see this amended drafted ordinance today, I don't know that this amendment presented by Councillor Beck would hold up if we wanted to be challenged by a federal legal capacity, and we need the funding for our airports and our community health and counseling and probably other departments that we depend very much on that funding. And so I likewise think we need to get those answers. So far, the answers we've been strongly recommended. We have great risk to lose very important funding, which our taxpayers can't afford to lose, nor the city of Bangor. And we do have counsel that we hired for legal advice. We've gotten that. We are still waiting for more input. So I likewise was a bit surprised to see this come back up today and not prepared to approve this tonight.
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to add to that. Thank you for your perspectives, but I have another perspective. We have passed Council Order 26-110, which puts us in immediate compliance with our governor's LD 1971, which I feel, since the state has taken that stand, they have done their due diligence. And I'm hoping that that particular bill will be what we need to protect our citizens. We also had asked for the city to protect our employees and give them some type of procedure if ICE was to come into the building. And we now have that in writing. So I feel our citizens, our residents, and our employees are now protected. And I am comfortable with the order that we passed and with the policy. And I'm not yet comfortable with the current ordinance for the same reasons, basically because of the legal issues and the possibility of losing federal funding. Okay.
Madam Chair. Thanks. I'm going to share this perspective. So we have before us an ordinance to amend code of the city of Bangor to establish Chapter 46 regarding employee authority in immigration matters. And we've been working on this for months, and it's been extensively drafted, heavily vetted by civil liberties experts, and carefully reviewed to ensure it serves the best interests of our city. And I strongly believe that it does. The fundamental goal of this ordinance is simple: to establish clear limits on the city of Bangor's involvement in federal immigration enforcement. And we're doing this to prioritize public safety, community trust, and the responsible use of our municipal resources. And what this ordinance does is draw a firm line between our public safety responsibilities and the federal civil immigration enforcement. Now, when you introduce a comprehensive ordinance like this, it is completely natural and necessary to examine how it interacts with the day-to-day operations of our city. Over the course of this process, careful questions have been asked about how this might impact administrative staff, our records management, our contracts, and our overall legal liability. And I want to address those issues tonight to assure the council and the public what we have been incredibly thoughtful about in every single line of this text, that this document before us is solid. First, regarding our airport, we recognize that aviation security and international ports of entry have unique federal regulatory requirements. Because of that, we have explicitly exempted Bangor International Airport and its employees from this chapter so they can continue to operate under applicable federal and state aviation laws. Second, regarding routine city administration, we have ensured that this ordinance does not prevent our Human Resources Department or any other staff from doing their jobs. We have included specific language ensuring employees can still complete employment verification forms like the I-9 and comply with lawful federal audits. Third, regarding transparency in the Freedom of Access Act, there have been inquiries about whether restricting the sharing of personal contact information might inadvertently conflict with state FOIA law. We have thoroughly solved for this. This ordinance limits information sharing, but explicitly states that information can be disclosed when otherwise required by law. And since FOIA is a state law, if it mandates the release of a document, our required by law exception explicitly allows for it. Fourth, regarding compulsory legal processes, we have been very precise in our legal terminology to avoid any operational confusion. For instance, the ordinance correctly requires compliance with judicial subpoenas regarding requests for documents or testimony, while appropriately requiring a judicial warrant before granting physical access to non-public areas or transferring physical custody. Finally, regarding the burden on our staff, questions were raised about whether this ordinance is too complex and might force our everyday employees to have to act as lawyers. And I want to be abundantly clear, it does not, and that is not the expectation. If a city employee is ever unsure of how to proceed or respond to a request under this ordinance, they're not expected to figure it out on their own. They will do exactly what they always do. They will escalate the issue. They will lean on their department head, the city manager, or the city solicitor. Our city leadership is there to be our resource, and this ordinance relies on the existing common sense chain of command. We've listened to operational feedback, and we've tightened the language. We've ensured that our public safety personnel can cooperate fully in the investigation of serious crimes. The ordinance is grounded in a public safety rationale. It is carefully tailored. It expects the rule of law, and it respects the rule of law, and it reflects the values of Bangor. It's time to move forward, and I urge my colleagues to support the amended ordinance tonight.
No, Councilor Flynn.
I just want to thank Councilor Beck because he has spent so much time on this and has addressed every concern that's been raised multiple times. I've had a number of conversations with him. As you may recall, I had proposed some additional ordinances that didn't move forward, but I think that the idea behind passing the preemptive adoption of the state law was sort of, at least for me, if this were to not pass, that was better than nothing. But we've heard from a number of members of the community that that doesn't go quite far enough. And that's the intent behind this. And I feel very strongly that Councilor Beck has done his due diligence over and over. And I certainly respect all of the work that our the city's legal department has done and the issues that have been raised and that have been addressed. But I think that for the folks who are impacted by this, they really do want more and deserve more. So thank you.
Okay. Council Fish, and then we have a few that want to make comment on this.
I appreciate the work that Councilor Beck has put into this, but I've also reached out because I rely heavily on our council, who it is law is his specialty, and we can reach out and do research and get support for wherever you want to go find it that's going to be in support of your take on it. I also have some resources, one a federal judge, not in the state of Maine, but I just wanted to get his take. And he agrees with council that we cannot indemnify the airport. And unless somebody from the federal government in DC who can change things at a whim if they don't like what you're doing, he felt the same, that we have great risk to lose very important funding for our community health and counseling and for our airport. We don't have the power to tell the government what's exempted from their slate of rules. So, and at the same time, I feel the state, our Governor Mills, is taking care of this in a municipality, and we've already talked about this and agreed to this, and we cannot afford to be the guinea pig to test this out to see how the feds react. So, I appreciate Councilor Beck's work, but I don't think that he has this special expertise in government and contract law, and I'm not willing to risk the benefit or the results of that for Bangor.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, we have a couple of people who would like.
Chair, can I make a point of order?
Yeah.
What's in front of the council right now is a motion and a second to substitute the revised proposed ordinance for the one that had been in front of the council last meeting. So unless the public wants to speak on the motion to substitute, and I don't think that they do, I think they want to speak on the merits of the proposed ordinance, I think that the council should address the motion about whether to substitute or not.
Okay.
And I also want to clarify a couple of things. Councilor Beck worked very hard on the original draft of the ordinance, and the legal department worked very hard in reviewing it. Last meeting, it was suggested that that analysis of that be postponed until this meeting, with the understanding that it would be distributed to the council, to about 6 or so department heads. And that was done after last meeting. However, Councilor Beck also worked very hard on preparing a revised version of the ordinance. And the legal department also worked very hard on reviewing the revised version. When we had a situation where what was in front of the council was the original version, but also that we were made aware of a revised version that was done to attempt to address the issues that the legal department had raised in the original version, I ended up forwarding both the original version and the revised version to the department heads. Then there was a third revised version that Councilor Beck prepared where he added a new section that exempted the airport from the applicability of the ordinance. And that is what is in front of you tonight, the third version. But, and you heard from Airport Director Jose Saavedra last meeting about the airport situation. And so while it's clear that the airport being exempted from the ordinance takes care of any problems associated with the airport complying with it, we have not heard back from the rest of the department heads that all of their input has not come back in. And I just wanted to make you aware of that. But what's in front of you now is the motion to amend by substitution, not the passage of the ordinance itself. So I think that ought to be resolved before you go forward with public discussion of the passage of the proposed ordinance. Does that make sense?
Yep, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to vote on whether we want to substitute.
Madam Chair, may I make a point actually? So I know a lot of members of the public here were coming here to talk about specifically an order that we want to pass tonight, and the members of the council that have been supportive of this and are likely supportive of the document that was submitted to replace the original one. The original one we're replacing because of the issues raised by the airport director. So that one is just not going to pass on its face. And so I think the public should deserve to talk about the current language that we want to use to pass, because I don't think anyone in their right mind is going to want to vote for the ordinance that does not exempt the airport on it. So I think it's actually important for us, for the public, to speak on the language that's presented, even though we haven't voted to replace it.
Chair, may I speak on that?
Yes, please do.
I don't believe the public has seen the current version that was just distributed. So how could they
No.
possibly speak on it if they haven't?
Well, I didn't say that they had seen it. What I'm saying is that they knew we weren't going to pass the previous one last time. And so here we are presenting a document that is replacing the previous one. I don't see what the issue is.
Point of order, it sounds like I need to read the entire ordinance into the record to alleviate that conflict. I'd be happy to do so.
Chair, I wouldn't recommend that. Do you want?
Pardon me?
Chair, just to clarify, the amended ordinance does more than just exempt the airport. It was created and it changed a lot of things. Councilor Beck changed a lot of things in response to a number of issues that were raised by the legal department. So, it's up to you, Chair, when you want public comment to be made. But because the only thing that's in front of you right now is the motion to amend by substitution,
right,
I would suggest that's the only proper subject matter for discussion right now.
That's true. Okay. We have in front of us to amend by substitution. We have to deal with that before we can move on. So. But this is on the motion to only go on for substitution. That's all we're voting on. But if you haven't seen what the document is, how are you going to vote on that?
Well, we're just, you can hear me. Hi, I am Katie Coe. I am a resident of Bangor. And while we do not know the wording of the language, we do have a substantial summary that we were offered by Councilor Beck. And we would love to be able to speak on whether or not the revised language is accepted.
So
it's your call, Chair.
I'd like to just point to Robert's Rule 415. If any member has a right to ask for the amendment or the document to be read into the record, I'd like to go ahead and ask that it be read into the record. And again, I'm volunteering to do so.
Chair, I would consider that a very large waste of time to read the entire revised ordinance into the record.
That's true.
Point of order. I believe this council has the right to vote on
Yes.
substitution, and I believe that we should vote on the substitution.
Exactly.
We would just ask that there's opportunity for public comment. Thank you.
Okay.
I agree. I believe this is up to you, Madam Chair.
Okay. We do have that.
And I'm so sorry. I would just offer that if we wanted to save Counselor Beck's time and all of your time, since you guys do have photocopies of the proposed language, one could step into the other room, photocopy them, and distribute them to the public so that we could review.
Okay.
Before we continue, just point of order. So it's the ruling of the chair that the request to read this into the record is denied.
Yes, we're going to vote on the
I'm going to appeal to the rule of the chair.
vote before us. We're going to take care of that first.
I appealed the ruling of the chair that this can't be read into the record, and I believe that's a vote under Robert's
Chairman,
rules.
have the floor.
Yes.
Yes, if a council member can appeal the rule of the chair, and then there would be a vote on the rule of the chair.
Okay.
Ultimately, the council
Yep.
can vote on that, and
So you're now saying we need to do that before we do the substitution.
yes,
All right.
there needs to be a second
Second,
on the appeal of the rule of the chair. There needs to be a second. I just did. Okay.
All right. Roll call vote.
For clarity, a yes vote is to appeal, to overturn it. Just want to make sure we're all clear.
Yeah, the yes vote would be to overrule the rule of the chair that the chair just made to deny the request to read into the record the entire proposed substituted ordinance.
Okay. Roll call vote.
Counselor Beck?
Yes.
Counselor Carson?
Yes.
Did you say yes? Okay. Counselor Dean?
No.
Counselor Falloon?
Yes.
Counselor Fish?
No.
Counselor Leonard?
yes.
Counselor Mallor?
No.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Hawes?
No.
5 yes, 4 no.
May I proceed with the reading?
One condition, please. And I've asked you this 3 times offline. I'm going to now ask you in public. When you read, you do not need to yell into your microphone. We all can hear you very clearly. It just makes it very choppy. So if you could tone it down, go ahead.
My pleasure. Be it ordered by the City Council of the City of Bangor that the Code of the City of Bangor is hereby amended by enactment of Chapter 46, Employee Authority in Immigration Matters as follows. Chapter 46, Employee Authority in Immigration Matters, 46.1 Definitions. As used in this chapter, the following terms shall have the meanings indicated. Administrative warrant, a non-judicial warrant or arrest document issued by a federal immigration authority which has not been reviewed or signed by a judge or magistrate of a court of law. Citizenship or immigration status, individual citizenship or immigration status, as such status is defined in federal law. City employee, any person employed by a municipal department or the municipality. Contact information includes home address, work address, telephone number, electronic mail address, social media contact information, or any other means of contacting an individual. Federal agency means the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE agency, the United States Customs and Border Protection, CBP agency, and any other federal agency or successor agency engaged in immigrant enforcement. Immigration enforcement means any effort to investigate, enforce, or assist in the investigation or enforcement of any federal civil immigration law, and includes any effort to investigate, enforce, or assist in the investigation or enforcement of any violations of Title VIII of the United States Code. Judicial warrant, an order issued by a state or federal judge or magistrate that authorizes a specific law enforcement action. Municipal department, every city department, agency, or division established by charter, authority of an ordinance, executive order, or city council order. Non-public area, area that the general public is not free to enter or access. This includes restricted access areas within buildings and spaces that are otherwise predominantly public, and public periods of time during which otherwise public areas are closed for operation. Public area, area that is general, that the general public is free to enter to access. This includes vestibules, lobbies, or waiting rooms, or buildings and spaces that are otherwise predominantly non-public. 46.2, purpose and policy statement. A, purpose. The chapter clarifies the relationship between the City of Bangor and the federal government, including the United States Department of Homeland Security and its component agencies, with respect to the investigation, enforcement, or assistance in the enforcement of federal immigration laws. B, policy. The City of Bangor cooperates with federal and state agencies as required by law, but the city does not operate its departments, programs, or services for the purpose of enforcing federal civil immigration laws or federal criminal immigration laws that penalize a person's presence in, entry into, re-entry into, or employment in the United States absent other criminal conduct. C, exclusive regulation. This chapter constitutes the sole municipal regulation governing city involvement in federal immigration enforcement and supersedes any inconsistent policy, rule, or practice. 46.3, general city services. A, administration of services. 1, city employees shall perform their duties solely for the purpose of administering general city services and programs. Employees may complete employment eligibility verification forms, Form I-9, and complete with lawful federal audits or inspections or of such forms as required by law. 2, city employees shall comply with properly issued judicial subpoenas or other compulsory legal process when required by law, including those related to immigration matters. 3, employees may request proof of identity only when authorized and necessary for the performance of their duties. No person shall be subjected to greater scrutiny or different treatment based on immigration status or on the presentation of non-U.S. identity documents. B, prohibition on use of city resources, except as required by law. City employees, contractors, and representatives shall not use city funds, facilities, equipment, technology, data, or personnel for the purpose of detecting, detaining, apprehending, facilitating, or investigating individuals whose sole alleged violation is a civil immigration violation. This includes, but is not limited to, investigating or interrogating persons, providing logistical support, or sharing non-public information for federal immigration enforcement purposes. 1, information security. No employee or department shall enter into any contractual agreement or arrangement with a federal agency to provide access to any database operated by a city department where the purpose of such access includes assisting or supporting immigration enforcement. 2, contact information. Unless presented with a valid and properly issued judicial warrant, no city employee or department shall provide contact information, custody status, or work address to a federal agency for the purpose of immigration enforcement. C, requesting information prohibited. No city employee or department shall request information from a person about their citizenship or immigration status unless such inquiry or investigation is required by ordinance, court order, or state or federal law. 46.4, access to city property. A, restricted use of city property. No city employee or department shall grant any federal agency access to any city-owned facility or property for immigration enforcement unless required by law. B, non-public areas. Non-public city spaces are not open for federal immigration enforcement activities absent a valid judicial warrant or other legal obligation. City employees are not authorized to consent to access to such spaces in lieu of a judicial warrant. C, limitation of scope. Nothing in this section shall be construed to interfere within compliance with existing contracts, court orders, judicial warrants, or the enforcement of criminal law, or to restrict rights guaranteed under state or federal law. 46.5, public safety services. A, limitations. 1, stops and detentions. No city employee shall stop, arrest, detain, interrogate, or continue to detain a person for immigration enforcement purposes, including pursuant to an immigration detainer, an administrative immigration warrant, or suspicion that the person is not legally present legally in the United States. 2, traffic perimeters. No city public safety personnel shall establish traffic perimeters for the purpose of assisting or supporting federal immigration enforcement. B, prohibited agreements. The city shall not enter into any agreement, including under 8 USC 1357G, to deputize city employees to enforce federal immigration laws, nor any agreement to authorize the custodial transfer or detention of a person for immigration enforcement purposes, including intergovernmental service agreements, IGSAs, or riders to such agreements. C, permitted cooperation. Nothing in this chapter prohibits city public safety personnel from cooperating with federal authorities in the investigation of a serious crime such as human trafficking, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, or firearms trafficking. D, access to persons in custody. Public safety personnel shall not permit access to or transfer the custody of any person to a federal agency for the purpose of immigration enforcement unless one of the following conditions is met. 1, the request is accompanied by a valid judicial warrant. 2, the action is required by state law, including compliance with the narrow exceptions for cooperation specified in 5 MRS 4763, subsection 2, or the action is necessary to comply with a legally binding court order or other compulsory legal process that mandates the turnover or transfer of custody. Public safety personnel shall, in all other respects, not 4, permit ICE or CBP agents to use city facilities, information, or equipment, including electronic databases, for investigative interviews or other investigative purposes, or for purposes of executing immigration enforcement. 46.6, complaints and enforcement. A, complaints. Alleged violation of this chapter shall be subject to investigation and discipline in accordance with applicable collective bargaining agreements, civil service rules, and city policies. B, immigration status. No complainant or witness shall be required to disclose immigration status as a condition of filing or participating in a complaint. 46.7, compliance with federal and state law. A, general compliance. Nothing in this chapter shall be construed to require any action prohibited by federal or state law or prohibit compliance with 8 USC 1373 and 1644, properly issued judicial subpoenas, or other legally binding obligations. B, information sharing. Nothing in this chapter shall be construed to prohibit or restrict any city employee from sending to or receiving from federal immigration authorities information regarding citizenship or immigration status as provided under 8 USC 1373 and 1644, provided such provisions are applied consistently with the 10th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. However, this section constitutes a strict limitation on such information sharing. It allows for the exchange of citizenship or immigration status only and does not authorize the disclosure of any other information, including but not limited to release dates, custody status, home addresses, work addresses, or contact information unless otherwise required by law. C, enforcement of state and local laws. Nothing in this chapter shall be construed to limit any city employee from enforcing state and local criminal laws, even if such enforcement takes place at the scene of federal immigration enforcement. 46.8, no impact on private rights. Nothing in this chapter shall be construed to limit any individual's rights or remedies under existing law. 46.9, severability. In the event that any provision of this chapter is held to be unconstitutional or otherwise invalid by any court of competent jurisdiction, the remaining provisions of this chapter shall not be invalidated. 46.10, application to the Bangor International Airport. The provisions of this chapter shall not apply to the Bangor International Airport, BGR, or its employees, contractors, and agents. The City Council finds that the unique federal regulatory requirements, international port of entry obligations, and aviation security mandates governing BGR necessitate that airport operations remain governed exclusively by applicable federal and state aviation laws and existing federal local agreements.
My name is Michael Norton. I've been here 7 years in Bangor, Maine. I was a technical writer for 2 years for a US and a Japanese corporation in the motion control industry, private, but global company. I'm just wondering who wrote these language that you're reading tonight? Is it credible? Is it appropriate to credit you, Michael Beck?
I wish I could take all the credit, but I had help.
Are there private contractors involved in the writing of that?
No, no private contractors were involved in the writing of this.
The state government, the governor's office? Or?
No, the governor's office was not involved in this.
Okay. All right. I just think it's sad. And it could, because it's poor writing, in my opinion. And it's scary because it's legislation, government, and we are the government here. And DHS doesn't have any of the Homeland Security doesn't have any relevance with regard to technical writing in motion control before DHS was ever founded.
Oh, did that open public comment?
Okay.
Thank you.
Hillary Simmons, resident of Bangor. I'm speaking today in opposition to the proposed amendment to establish Chapter 46, Employee Authorization and Immigration Matters. This proposal raises serious concerns about priorities, accountability, and the proper role of local government. Bangor City employees are hired to serve the public through the responsibilities they were trained for: public safety, infrastructure, parks, sanitation, administration, and community services. Expanding employee authority into immigration matters risks blurring those responsibilities and creating confusion about what city workers are expected to do. Immigration enforcement is a highly complex area of federal law. It requires specialized training, legal safeguards, and oversight. Local employees should not be placed in situations where they may be asked to interpret or act on matters outside of their expertise. That creates liability risks for the city, risks mistakes being made, and risks violating the rights of residents or visitors. We should also consider the impact on community trust. Bangor functions best when people feel safe reporting crimes, asking for help, using city services, and cooperating with public officials. If residents begin to fear that routine interactions with city employees can involve immigration scrutiny, some people may withdraw from public life. That makes everyone less safe, not more safe. The amendment could also divert time, resources away from the issues Bangor residents expect their city government to address directly: roads, housing, public safety, economic development, emergency response, and quality of life. Every hour spent on unclear new authority is not an hour not spent on everyday needs for this community. No one is saying laws should be ignored, but immigration enforcement is fundamentally a federal responsibility. Bangor should focus on being an effective city government, not taking on the duties that belong elsewhere. We need clear roles, responsible governance, and policies that unite rather than divide our community. For those reasons, I urge you to reject it.
Hi, Katie Coe, resident of Bangor. Honestly, I think you guys should pass the original ordinance as written, but I understand you have concerns. I believe all of your concerns have been addressed by the most recent version as read by Councillor Beck. And while I think the original was just fine, you should accept the revisions. Thank you.
Hello, Jody McDonald, Bangor resident. I just wanted to bring a couple of things that I keep thinking of, one of which is that states have rights, and that I love that we're tackling a very new, huge problem that, according to the Maine Monitor, we're looking at the whole state of Maine here. And of the nearly 200 arrests that were made in just January, 11 of them actually had a criminal record. I love that we're taking a proactive thank you, perimenopause is not fun, that we're taking an aggressive stance on this because times are changing rapidly. What we are seeing in our different cities in the state of Maine are not criminals. By the way, these are misdemeanors, so major traffic violations. These are tiny things that people are getting separated from their families. They are being followed home from church, and these are not criminals. I think it is admirable that we are trying to utilize our state and our local rights, trying to make our community a safer, a better place. And part of what's being safe is, if there is a federal law, follow said federal law. But we're not seeing that currently. So thank you for those who are doing their best to be brave and speak up against something that is coming in a wave that we need to follow rules for. And so the other guys, okay.
My name is Mitchell Cooper. I don't want to have to spell it out, but I'll say it again, Mitchell Cooper. I'm a resident from Bangor. First off, I just want to say that I'm disappointed. First, I typed up something. I'm not going to read it. Second, I'm disappointed that we're here. And quite honestly, I'm pretty angry at this point. Every argument that I hear from council against this feels like a straw man argument. It feels like we're scared to do something, to stand up for our residents. Myself, I don't have to worry about it. I'm a privileged white guy, right? I'm not going to be pulled over and asked my immigration status, but not everybody is as privileged as I am. You know, we want to talk about how it's a federal issue and federally it should be enforced or whatever that comes with that. The only reason that we're even in this place today is because our federal government is abdicating its duty to enforce the laws as they're written. We've had a whistleblower that says that they are being trained to disregard Constitution. We have seen the violence that they have brought to communities. We have seen economic devastation in Minnesota. They lost $200 million. We want to talk about economic development. There it is. You know, how much would Bangor lose if they start trying to, you know, enforce that way in our community? It's really upsetting. And at this point, I'm disappointed from the top down at every level of government, because it really feels like everybody is failing us as citizens to protect us from this. This wasn't an issue 3 years or 5 years or 10 years ago. It's an issue now because of what's happening in Washington. And this is why we have to do it locally, because nobody else seems to give a fuck about us. It's upsetting. And quite honestly, it's unacceptable. And if you are not going to vote in favor for something to protect us, then you are also abdicating your duty, and it's cowardice, and it's not okay. And if I'm being perfectly blunt, any vote where Councilor Maller does not recuse himself for this or anything other that is immigration related should be an invalid vote in my eyes. He's clearly biased, clearly does not care for a segment that he assumes exists. So I don't think I have anything else to say.
Good evening, councilors. Good evening, Chair Haas. My name is Umbreen Rana. I am a resident of Bangor. Can you hear me okay? My name is Umbreen Rana and I'm a resident of Bangor, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak on this amended language. I think that that's a really important part of the procedure because it was presented to the council and the public should have the opportunity to comment on it, as well as being able to comment on the final vote that you take today, whether that is with accepting the amendment or not. Because if we were to proceed and only have the opportunity to comment afterwards, then you wouldn't have heard the public's opinion on how we feel. I have prepared comment for both, but in order to save time, I'm really going to try to condense and talk to you about both how I feel about the ordinance in general and about this amendment, depending on how much time I'm able to cover. I don't believe that this exemption for the airport is necessary. I don't believe that it's necessary. It's not a concern for me personally, given that especially since there hasn't been a review made to the public about actual concerns coming from the airport director or their council. And to my knowledge, the city council hasn't received that either, other than a verbal concern. I think that, however, I do understand that this amendment is very minor, and the advocates that drafted this ordinance, that worked closely with Councillor Beck, the experts, to answer a question that was proposed by the public earlier. I can speak to how this language came about, because this has been work that we've been doing for over a year. We've come to you over and over again over the last year to pass an ordinance regarding ICE. I understand that the amendment that Councillor Beck, the revised version of this ordinance, is fine with the advocates. However, I just feel it's unnecessary. To elaborate more on where this language came from, these ordinances have been drafted by experts in this field, lawyers, people that work in immigration law, stakeholders on all sides, whether that's law enforcement, whether that's state officials or municipal officials. They have all had input on this language. And there are experts on the Constitution that wrote this ordinance. To answer that question from the public, I also heard the public reflect on concern that an ordinance like this would make the public less safe. May I continue? I feel as an expert on this subject, if I could get the
I
council.
understand, but there's a 3-minute, and this is extended.
I appreciate that. I will come, once you vote, I'll come back to speak on the actual ordinance. I really appreciate your time, and thank you. I feel like that covers that first part.
Okay. We still have the amendment. We haven't voted that yet. The substitute.
Are you asking me
No, I'm just saying,
a question?
we still have.
Yes,
So we need to do that.
that's what's before you, the motion.
That
For
is.
substitute.
It's been moved
And
and seconded. Yep, it was. We've actually moved on.
It's a concern about potentially losing funding, and I don't take that lightly, but we shouldn't treat the possibility of losing funding as more urgent than the certainty of harm to human beings. If this decision results in individuals being placed in unsafe or inhumane conditions or families being separated, that harm is real and immediate. It deserves to be weighed more heavily than financial risk. What we are trying to do here is simply to clarify the roles of our public servants and ensure that the laws are followed as they're written. This is about consistency, accountability, and protecting both the public and the people impacted by these decisions. Financial pressure is real, but it cannot be the deciding factor when fundamental rights and human dignity are at stake. When we allow fear of consequences to guide our decisions, we start setting a precedent that those values are negotiable. I'm asking this council to lead with principle. Budgets can be adjusted. Harm to people cannot be undone. I'd also like to say that the biggest weapon that fascism uses is fear. And the history books are going to be written. So what side are you choosing? It's important to figure that out.
Good evening, counselors. I like to keep this simple and short. I agree with everything you're saying, but let's keep it down basically. I've been assaulted 3 different times. 3 different times. Our building next door, we clean up this area, this building. We've done a lot to bring this back. I've been assaulted 3 times and nothing's been done. I don't understand how you can vote on this, but yet not let our local laws abide. Please, God, work on all this together. Thank you.
Okay, that is the end of public comment. We are going to finish the business of this meeting. We are at the motion has been moved and seconded to substitute this by substitution. Roll call, please.
Councillor Beck?
Yes.
Councillor Carson?
No.
Counselor Dean,
No.
Counselor Falloon,
Yes.
Counselor Fish,
No.
Counselor Leonard,
Yes.
Counselor Mallor.
No.
Is that a no?
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Counselor Hawes,
No.
4 yes, 5 no. Motion failed.
Okay, ordinance 26-095, which was to be substituted, has 4 yes, 5 no. It has failed. Next item.
Chair, point of
Oh,
order.
yeah, we have to go back to,
The item's not finished. All that was the motion to substitute,
okay,
which failed.
right.
There's already a motion and a second, I believe,
Yes.
for passage of the original drafted proposed ordinance. So that's what's in front of you now.
Okay.
Hmm.
The original drafted ordinance.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would like to move I would like to postpone Council Order 26-095 to the full council meeting on May 11th, as to give us enough time to receive our review.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to postpone 26-095 to the May 11th council meeting. Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Carson,
Yes.
Counselor Dean,
No.
Counselor Falloon,
Yes.
Counselor Fish,
No.
Counselor Leonard,
Yes.
Counselor Mallor,
No.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Counselor Hawes,
No.
5 yes, 4 no.
Okay, ordinance 26-095 will be postponed to the May 11th. That would be the next one, yes. The May 11th council meeting, 5 yes, 4 no. Next item, please.
26-139 ordinance amending chapter 165 Land Development Code District Map to rezone a portion of property located at 355 Main Avenue from Government and Institutional Service District to Shopping and Personal Service District. Counselor Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I make a motion on ordinance 26-139.
Second.
This ordinance would amend the Land Development Code District Map to rezone. Thank you. Let me do that over. Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to make a motion on 26-139.
Second.
This ordinance would amend the Land Development Code District Map to rezone a portion of the property at map lot R 25-001-B located at 355 Main Avenue from Government and Institutional Service District to Shopping and Personal Service District. The total area requested to be changed is approximately 2.48 acres. The applicant is Totem 2.0 LLC, and the owner of record is the University of Maine Systems. This area is within the growth boundary shown in the 2022 comprehensive plan, and the future land use map in the plan shows this property in the neighborhood residential area, which consists of medium density residential development with limited commercial and institutional uses that are complementary to the surrounding residential land uses. This item was reviewed and unanimously recommended at the planning board meeting on April 21st, 2026.
Has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Carson,
Yes.
Counselor Dean,
Yes.
Counselor Falloon,
Yes.
Counselor Fish,
Yes.
Counselor Leonard,
Yes.
Counselor Mallor,
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Counselor Hawes,
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Ordinance 26-139 has passage, 9 yes, 0 no. Next item.
26-140 resolve accepting and appropriating $80,000 from Maine General Medical Center to implement outpatient early intervention services with respect to HIV disease. Counselor Walker.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This resolve would accept and appropriate $80,000 from Maine General Medical Center to implement outpatient early intervention services with respect to HIV disease. Maine General has been a longtime provider of Ryan White Part C outpatient early intervention services in many parts of Maine. They were awarded the federal funds to implement the related services in the areas previously served by HEAL, including Bangor. With Maine General based in central Maine, they approached Bangor Public Health and Community Services to enter in an agreement to provide Ryan White's Part C outpatient early intervention services to people living with HIV in the Bangor area. These services included HIV testing and referral, rapid referral to medical care, case management, education, and partner services, which are critical for supporting people living with HIV to reach viral suppression and access mental health, substance use care, stable housing, and other services resources. With the closure of HEAL, those services were no longer available in 5 northern eastern Maine counties. The agreement includes funding to support staff time. Bangor Public Health has been offering medical case management since October 2025. Maine General provided an agreement for September 1st, 2025 to March 31st, 2026 to retroactively support the work. Due to the quick turnaround time required, this agreement was signed and returned in order to be processed during the contract year. Madam Chair, I move passage of 26-140.
Second.
Resolve 26-140 has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Yes.
I'm Mike Norton. When I was 14 years old, I made a movie about a boy with AIDS, my friends. And I would object to this adding more money to the waste pile because everyone in the establishment today is still using a definition as to why the sky is blue from the 17th century, Newtonian physics. And they didn't have the web then. They didn't have electricity and glowing lights at night from the space station that we can see warming our planet. And they didn't have the resonance of human blood, which is available for us today in our healthcare systems. $80,000 should be in my pocket. Thank you.
Tricia Quirk, a resident of Bangor. Can I ask where this is going to take place? Where are they practicing? We're giving $80,000. Where are they practicing?
Hi, Jen Gunderman, Director of Bangor Public Health and Community Services. So the case managers are based at Bangor Public Health and Community Services. We provide services at 103 Texas Ave and a few other locations where we meet people where they're at to provide them with case management services.
So Maine General, we're funding Maine General.
No, they're funding us.
Okay. My misunderstanding. Thank you.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded. There's no further discussion. We'll do a roll call.
Counselor Beck?
Yes.
Counselor Carson?
Yes.
Counselor Dean?
Yes.
Counselor Falloon?
Yes.
Counselor Fish?
Yes.
Counselor Leonard?
Yes.
Counselor Mallor?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Hawes?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Resolve 26-140 has passage 9-0. Next item.
26-143 order authorizing the city manager to endorse a subordination agreement and an amendment to the development agreement for Pike Development to pursue financing for the purchase of the property located at 8 Harlow Street. Counselor Fish.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry, my computer did a glitch here. So I will pick up here where I left off. This order 26-143 would authorize the city manager or designate to endorse a subordination agreement and an amendment to the development agreement for Pike Development to pursue financing for the purchase of the property located at 8 Harlow Street. In January of 2024, a development agreement with Louis Morrison was endorsed as part of the effort to avoid the property being taken for taxes from the previous owner. The development agreement listed items that needed to be addressed for the building to meet basic code and life safety requirements. In the fall of 2024, Louis Morrison indicated they were looking for buyers for the property. One of the issues that they had with selling the property was the development agreement had a reverter clause, which means the city could take the property if the conditions of the development agreement were not met on the property in the timely fashion. A new potential buyer has asked for relief in the development agreement. Working with the legal department, a subordination clause was offered and proposed buyer's bank has agreed. The amendment would change the name on the development agreement to propose the buyer Pike Development, modify the dates in the agreement to allow 1 year to comply with the permits and 1 year to complete the improvements, and will include quarterly required progress milestones. This item was received and recommended for approval at the Business and Economic Development Committee on April 22nd, 2026. I move for passage order 23-143.
Second.
Madam Chair. I had follow-up questions to some answers that I received from Ann Krieg. Is she or somebody here that can answer questions about this? Are you with the city?
No, my name is Zach Pike, and I'm the person who's trying to buy the building.
Oh, the question I had were actually for city staff.
Oh, gotcha. Well, maybe I can't help with that part then.
Yep. I'm not sure if she's on for this purpose, so that's what gotcha. If not, you want to try to address them?
I'm not sure. I mean, I can try, but I don't know. Did she answer anything?
She did not, no.
Oh, I got you.
Anya, are you on to talk on this item? Do not think she is. So you're speaking to the questions that you emailed. Did you see Director Kree's response to you, and did you have follow-up questions?
Yeah, I had a few follow-ups. The first one was regarding the milestones. And the answer I received is, the question was, if we're taking milestones, if milestones aren't met, what recourse does the city have?
The milestones are not met.
If the milestones aren't met, I look at there will be quarterly, but let's say they miss one of the quarterly milestones, what recourse does the city have?
I can try to address that as far as I can go with it. The city solicitor's office would be looking at the form of the agreement regarding the milestones. We would suggest that we put in an enforcement mechanism with regard to the milestones. However, I can't speak to the fine detail of what the milestones would be or what enforcement mechanisms we would try to incorporate into the contract. So that's as far as I can go with an answer.
Sure, and obviously some of this would be better answered in executive session. But the other question I had was regarding, I asked a question about some kind of restructuring fee or an administrative, or an admin fee. Yeah, because this is now the second time we've had to restructure this deal. And, I asked, how much staff time was involved with that. Because I feel better about this deal. I would feel better having as part of this agreement, not the buyer, I'm happy to have a new buyer who's willing to step up and fix this building. But, I would like to see some kind of recuperation for the staff's time, to the taxpayer for having to restructure this deal twice now. Kind of speaks to the concern I had about 10 months ago when this last came up of, my job is to protect the taxpayer and what's in it for them. And, I think the answer was along the lines of this is just not something we collect. And usually we don't have to. It doesn't get to a second time on these kind of deals. But, this is something that would make me feel better if we could, amend this to include some kind of reasonable, whether they're called a project recovery fee or, administrative fee, because staff time is involved on this. This is now the second time we've had to restructure a deal on a default. I mean, we had an original agreement, that the city entered into in January 2024. And the best we're getting out of it is, gee, we're going to get a new buyer. But I feel like there needs to be some kind of, reimbursement to the taxpayer for the city time invested in restructuring this deal. So, and this is the motion I'm going to make on this item. I would move to amend order 26143 by inserting shall include a project recovery fee and after the word agreement in the last sentence. So that it would now read, the form of the subordination agreement and the development agreement shall include a project recovery fee and is to be approved by the city solicitor's office.
I would second that.
Go ahead.
I oppose that because we have had other projects come more than once in front of us. And the sooner we can get this property renovated and operating under new ownership, we keep saying that we want to have these buildings. We want to encourage investors to come. Now we want to put up another, another fee and another block. And, I don't think we should be picking and choosing when we want to add new fees. And this is the second time that they have come to us, yes, but this is different. It has different milestones in it. And I'm for getting this on the road and letting the new owner get going with it.
Any other comments?
I would just add that in my time being here, this is the most unique situation I've had. Yes, we have all kinds of different projects come before us, but not 2 and 3 times, not like this.
Hillary Simmons, resident of Bangor. There are other things that have come before the city council that has cost the taxpayers of Bangor money. So yes, you are singling out this one particular project and requesting reimbursement because there are numerous other things that have been brought in front of the city council that you have not requested reimbursement. I agree with Councilor Fish. Let's get it going. Let's get it sold and move on because you can't pick and choose the projects that you want reimbursed to the city. You have to fairly across the board.
To respond to that, I guess I'd like to see a record of projects that have come before us 3 different times with 2 different restructurings that I picked and choose. Like this is the only one to pick and choose. This is the only one. It is.
If there's public comment, I'd like to take a moment. Awesome. Katie Coe, resident of Bangor. Just want to make that clear in case that becomes an issue later. Creating consequences for bad actions is not creating a new fee structure. Consequences are something that should in fact be in place to protect the city. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilor Key.
I would like to speak in, not in opposition, but in support of this. I believe that a dilapidated building sitting in Bangor is of no use to us whatsoever. And if someone is interested enough to make an offer, I think we should go forward with it. I can't imagine that Pike Development would put in this offer without doing their due diligence and having a plan in mind. So I am fine with the way it is worded, and I would like to get this sold, and I would like to see this property doing something other than sitting there empty.
Council Flow.
I just wanted to point out that Anya Colette has her hand raised online.
No, it's not her. Yeah. Yeah, go.
Luke, you're unmuted, I believe. Let's speak.
Hey all, not sure if you can hear me or see me.
We can hear you.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for taking a look at this. I'm one of the owners of 8 Harlow that's working with Zach. Him and his team have put together a really, really strong proposal to add housing to this building and.
Chair, could you get a name?
Luke McKennell, sorry. One of the owners at 8 Harlow Street. When we purchased the building, we paid all of the taxes that were that the previous owner had defaulted on. We've continued to pay taxes. We've put 2 good commercial tenants in there. And Zach's ready to move forward with, the residential side of the project. He's a very seasoned developer, did a building, very, very nice building for Dash Davidson across the street. He's very, very seasoned in this environment. We are not. That's why we want Zach to take the building over and sell it to him. And ultimately, we think he is the man for the job, and the city's going to be very happy with the outcome. And I think putting any additional clauses on it is just kicking the can down the road. And ultimately, you're denying additional housing coming to Bangor. And you've got Zach right there. He fully supports the project. Like I said, he's put together a great project. We've done our part, and we hope to see it through. Again, I thank everyone for looking at it.
Okay. Thank you. So the order, did you have a question? Okay. 26-143 order has been moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion.
Chair, point of order.
What?
What's on the table right now is a motion to amend to include a requirement of a project recovery fee. It has been seconded. That's what's the motion that's pending. Okay.
We need a roll call.
Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Carson,
No.
Counselor Dean,
No.
Counselor Falloon,
No.
Counselor Fish,
No.
Counselor Leonard,
No.
Counselor Mallor,
No.
Counselor Walker,
No.
Counselor Hawes,
No.
1 yes, 8 no.
Okay. So it does, the extra fee has been defeated. There was 1 yes, 8 no. Next item, please.
Yeah, we're still on this item.
Mother of God. I'm going to vote on something and it's not going to be pretty. All right.
There's a motion and a second.
Yep. It has been moved and seconded.
You ready for roll call?
We are.
Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Carson,
Yes.
Counselor Dean,
Yes.
Counselor Falloon,
Yes.
Counselor Fish,
Yes.
Counselor Leonard,
Yes.
Counselor Mallor,
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Counselor Hawes,
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
26-143 order has passage 9 yes, 0 no. Now, next item. This is under the new business. Yep.
You're looking over here, but I don't know why.
No, we're going to the new business.
Right,
And we wanted to take a council vote to change the order
okay.
of the new business.
Yes, that would
So-
need to be done by council vote.
Yep.
If you want to reverse the order of the next two items.
We do. All right.
Need a motion and a second.
Yep. You make a
I
motion?
make a motion to reverse the resolve and the order so that the resolve is the first prior to the order 152.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to reverse the order of the new business items. 26153 would be first, 26152 would be second. Seeing no discussion, we'll have a roll call vote.
Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Carson,
Yes.
Counselor Dean,
Yes.
Counselor Falloon.
Yes.
Counselor Fish,
Yes.
Counselor Leonard,
Yes.
Counselor Mallor,
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Counselor Hawes.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Okay. The order is being taken in reverse. So. Next item?
26-153 resolve addressing Counselor Mallow's statements during the March 31st, 2026 Ethics Board meeting regarding the school department budget and non-English speaking Bangor students. Counselor Dean.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This resolve addresses Counselor Mallory's statements made during the March 31st, 2026 Ethics Board meeting regarding the school department budget and non-English speaking Bangor students. During the March 31st, 2026 Ethics Board meeting, there was a break in the meeting when staff were directed to leave the recording technology operating. During the break, Counselor Wayne Mallor approached the city staff person managing the recording technology and made the following comments. The school department is asking for a 10% increase. As far as I'm concerned, they get no increase, then something inaudible. They can't speak English, read English, or write English. It's not a disability. We do not have to furnish. They're probably all illegals anyway. Counselor Mallor's statements were recorded and audible to members of the community watching online in real time and accessing the recording later. Council wishes to clarify that Counselor Mallor was speaking on his own behalf and not on the behalf of the City of Bangor or the Bangor City Council. The statements made by Counselor Mallor reflect his own opinions and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of all members of City Council. The statements made by Counselor Mallor will in no way impact each counselor's individual vote on the school department's budget. I move passage of Council Resolve 26-153.
Second.
Point of order, Chair. Just Counselor Mallor should not partake in this vote.
Right.
Madam Chair. I move to amend Resolve 26153 by striking the word necessarily from the final paragraph.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to strike necessarily in the final paragraph. Go
Chair,
ahead.
do you mind if I reread that sentence just so that we're all? Okay. Okay. So the sentence now reads, the statements made by Counselor Mallor reflect his own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of all members of the city council. So that's how the sentence reads now.
Okay, we do need a vote on that. With the exception of Counselor Mallor.
Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Carson,
Yes.
Counselor Dean,
Yes.
Counselor Falloon,
Yes.
Counselor Fish,
Yes.
Counselor Leonard,
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Counselor Hawes.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Resolve 26153, 8 yes, 0 no. It does have passage.
You're up. Chair, that was just the motion to remove the word necessarily.
Right? So we have to go back and do the regular.
Do the vote.
Yeah. Now I lost my place. Okay, the 8-0 was for the removal of necessarily, do not necessarily. Now we have to do the resolve as amended.
Madam Chair, I move passage of the resolve as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. If there is no discussion, it will have passage. We have to do
Have a roll call vote and Counselor Mallor should not participate.
Yep, got you the first time.
Counselor Beck?
Yes.
Counselor Carson?
Yes.
Counselor Dean?
Yes.
Counselor Falloon?
Yes.
Counselor Fish?
Yes.
Counselor Leonard?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Hawes?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Okay. The resolve 26-153-80 has passage. Next item.
26-152 order referring the conduct of Counselor Mallor on March 31st, 2026 to the Board of Ethics for an advisory opinion. Counselor Beck.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This order would formally refer the conduct of Counselor Mallor on March 31st, 2026 to the Board of Ethics for an advisory opinion. During the recess of a recent meeting, an open microphone recorded a conversation between Counselor Mallor and a city staff member. According to the recording, Counselor Mallor stated the school department asking for a 10% increase. As far as I'm concerned, they get no increase. He was then recording discussing the department's spending on multilingual teachers and services, stating they can't speak English, read English, or write English. It's not a disability. We do not have to furnish. They're probably all illegals anyway. That's what the cultural center is supposed to be doing. These statements were made without a disclaimer clarifying whether the counselor was speaking in his official capacity or as a private citizen. Pursuant to the procedures outlined in our Code of Ethics, this order would direct the Board of Ethics to review the facts of this incident and issue an advisory opinion to the City Council on whether these actions violated Chapter 33 of the City Code. Specifically, the Board is asked to determine if the counselor violated Section 33(1) regarding the maintenance of public confidence and impartial conduct, Section 33-5.1 prohibiting unlawful discrimination and the inequitable treatment of persons, Section 3313.1 requiring the use of disclaimers to remove ambiguity, or any other provisions of the Ethics Code. Madam Chair, I move passage of Order 26-152.
Second.
The order has been moved and seconded. Yeah.
Once again, my name is Mitchell Cooper. I'm a homeowner and resident in Bangor. Just three things. Number one, Councilor Mallor's comments and opinions are pretty disgusting on that point. Number two, Councilor Mallor, I'm disappointed you're not here in person. You should resign. Number three, I think Councilor Mallor should recuse himself from any vote concerning this school or immigration matters. And then someone who is not able to be here, I'm going to read their statements. This is by Joshua Faye, resident of Bangor, an economist and data analyst for nonprofit organizations. Joshua says, at a recent meeting of the city's Board of Ethics, Councilor Wayne Mallor was caught on a live microphone referring to multilingual students in Bangor schools as quote unquote illegals, dismissing their legal right to an education and objecting to the school department spending money on English language instruction. He has since repeated and expanded on these remarks in statements to the Bangor Daily News, falsely claiming immigrants do not pay taxes and arguing that the city spends, quote, too much time on the homeless and the illegals and disregarding the citizenry. As though members of our community who are homeless or who are immigrants are not residents and this city is thus not deserving of its protection. These comments deserve more than a news cycle's worth of attention. They reveal something fundamental about how Councilor Mallor views the people he was elected to serve. Let's be clear, immigrants are not quote unquote illegals, they're people. They are our neighbors, coworkers, classmates, and friends. Their children sit in Bangor classrooms, and under both the Maine Human Rights Act and federal civil rights law, they are entitled to a meaningful education, including English language instruction. The Maine Department of Education is explicit. Failing to provide language services may constitute discrimination. This is not a matter of budgetary preference. It is the law. When an elected official objects to the school department meeting its legal obligations to children, the issue is not fiscal conservatism, it is bigotry dressed up as a budget management issue. The context of Councilor Maller's comments makes them even worse. He made these remarks at City Hall during a hearing before the Board of Ethics, a meeting convened specifically to determine whether he had violated Bangor's Code of Ethics by attempting to use his position as city councilor to improperly influence Historic Preservation Commission proceedings. He had been warned, along with everyone else in the room, that the microphones were live, and yet, surrounded by the very mechanisms of ethical accountability, he felt emboldened enough to disparage some of the most vulnerable members in our community on a live broadcast. The board subsequently found that he had, in fact, violated the city's ethics code. That he chose this moment of all moments to make these remarks is not merely tone deaf, it is a demonstration of contempt for the standards of conduct the city expects of its elected officials. Councilor Maller is free to hold whatever views he chooses. That is his right as an American citizen. But serving on the Bangor City Council is not a right. It is a public trust. It carries with it an obligation to
Sir, your time is up.
and protect all residents.
Where are we?
Right here.
Katie Coe, citizen of Bangor, resident, homeowner. When an elected official openly dehumanizes members of the community he was elected to serve, doubles down on those remarks in the press, and demonstrates a pattern of ethical violations, the question is no longer whether his views are distasteful. The question is whether the Bangor City Council can credibly claim to represent all of Bangor's residents, while one of its members openly regards some of them as undeserving of basic public services, or even consideration as fellow human beings. I believe it is imperative for the well-being of this city and for the confidence residents place in their government that Councillor Maller resign. Should he decline to do so, the City Council should pursue every available mechanism for his removal. Such bigotry and such brazen and repeated disregard for the obligations, responsibilities, and integrity of public office has no place in civil society, much less in city government. Bangor deserves a council that serves all of its people, every single one. And that is not my statement, but I completely agree with it. I hope you have a good evening.
Hi, Mike Norton. Happy 250th anniversary of the United States this year. I think it's possible that people can be too oversensitive, too much sensitive, and too much reactionary. I think that's been proven in the history of not only the US, but other civilizations outside of the United States of America. And I think Councilman Maller's case as presented tonight is the calls for his resignation are way overboard, not just because it's 250th anniversary of the USA, where the First Amendment is what? Freedom of speech and expression, but because it's an overreaction. I have known, and most people have known, people who speak English as a second language for their entire lives, since they start learning language in the United States of America. I guess that's all I have. Have a good night.
All right.
Richard Charles, a tax-paying citizen of Brunswick, Maine. I agree with this last gentleman. There's a possibility that things get overloaded and overworked. The man might have made he made a mistake. His integrity is solid. His honesty is solid. Thank you.
Okay, Order 26152 has been moved and seconded. Last one.
Hillary Simmons, resident of Bangor. I will speak on behalf of my father. He is not here due to the fact he is in Boston for cancer. Okay? Is that compassion? Do you have compassion? No. So again, it is a two-way street here. We have Gabrielle, that was part of the advisory committee, that called my father and Carolyn Fish a white neo-Nazi, correct? And that was not acceptable. But she's on the advisory committee.
Point of order.
Counselor Leonard.
Point of order.
No, I'm making a comment as far as fairty.
Chair, we have
People need to
point of
be
order.
fair.
Pause this
Correct?
sentence
Okay.
and the
Hillary.
time.
All right, she's done. Hillary. What? No, we're gonna,
Would ask for a point of order to,
okay, point of order. We need to have quiet in here. We've got to finish this up. And if that's too difficult and you need to leave the room to accomplish that, then please do. But we're going to move on. All right, stop. One more time. Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes.
I would like to make a motion to amend 26-152 to strike the very last words or any other provisions of the ethics code. I appreciate this having been put together, and I appreciate that this order is asking a few specific questions. I am not in favor of orders that have a catch-all at the end. To me, that feels like, and to clarify, I'm 100% in disagreement with the words that Counselor Mallor said. I know I believe the exact opposite. But I don't like an order that has a few specific questions and then it says, or any other provisions of the ethics code, like we're going to stick these words in an ethics machine and see what falls out on the other side. So I would like that amended.
I believe Counselor Carson's trying to amend the executive summary. I think you've,
did I look at the wrong?
yeah, you're looking at the executive summary.
I believe those same words are in the council order as well.
They are.
Same or similar words.
So it sounds like Counselor Carson wants to amend it to strike the last paragraph for general compliance based on the board's review of the facts surrounding the March 31st, 2026 incident. Did Counselor Mallard's actions or statements violate any other provisions of Chapter 33 Code of Ethics of the Code of the City of Bangor?
That's what I'm looking to do. Thank you, Counselor Beck.
Okay. Is there a second to that? Do we have a second?
I second the amendment.
Okay. There has been an amendment made to 26152, removing the final sentence to include or any other provisions of the ethics code. Any further discussion? Seeing none? Roll call on the amendment.
Counselor Beck?
No.
Counselor Carson?
Yes.
Counselor Dean?
No.
Counselor Falloon?
No.
Counselor Fish?
No.
Counselor Leonard?
No.
Counselor Walker?
No.
Counselor Hawes?
No.
1 yes. 7 no.
Okay.
Chair, can I make a point of order? I believe Counselor Mallor should be allowed to participate in the discussion, but not the vote on this proposed referral.
Okay. So he should be able to speak on this, you're saying?
Yes,
On the removal?
but not the vote.
Okay, but the vote was that there's 7 no to amend this.
I'm talking about on the discussion regarding the
That coming.
order itself.
Okay. Okay, so yes. Yeah, that's what we're going to do now, because that failed. The amendment failed. So we're back to the 26152 order as was presented. Did you want to speak? Please do.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think this is getting a little convoluted. I want to make known that the statements made by Councilor Mallor offended me personally, and I think they offended a lot of people here in Bangor. That is why I was in full support of the resolve to let everyone know that the council does not feel the same way as Counselor Maller regarding our non-English speaking or learning to speak English students. I do have some concerns about going to ethics. Reason being, we spent a lot of time and resource on this. This is not an inexpensive thing to do. It does take a lot of time by many parties, and I am not sure that this is the best use of resources where we have already proclaimed basically that we are not in agreement with the statements. Counselor Maller has been recently to ethics. We have sent a couple of counselors to ethics. I don't think we should continue to send all of our counselors to ethics when they make statements that we do not agree with. I think it was in poor taste. I wish it hadn't been said, and I wish there had been an apology. That's my biggest thing, is that there was no apology because the statements were made because they were believed. So I am struggling with whether to send this to ethics due to those concerns.
Counselor Flu?
Thank you. I struggle with the very same thing. But ultimately, I am going to vote yes on it. I don't think I need to elaborate any more on what was said. We've heard that enough. But I think that, Counselor Maller, the Board of Ethics already found a prior ethics violation. This referral ensures that there's a formal record of this conduct as well. So I think that that's important, and that sends a very strong message. I also think that one of the things that I've been working on, because I've had the question asked of me a lot, and probably others have too, like, what happens? Yeah, you get an ethics referral, and then a decision is made. Then what? So what? There's not really any repercussions. And so one of the things that I've been working on is to sort of clarify what the next steps should be when there's an ethics referral, and have sort of a enumerated list of what next steps should be. So that's something that I drafted and sent to legal, and have gotten some feedback on. So that's something that we can look to see going forward. So just wanted to mention that for the people who have questioned, what happens next after an ethics referral. Thank you.
Any other council comments? Counselor Fish?
I likewise have the same concerns as Counselor Dean. Children, have a special place for me, and I feel society has an obligation to do all that we can for children. And if that means helping them with language barriers in school, besides it being a federal law or not, I would be in favor of that to help the children. However, I'm also a strong advocate of the First Amendment and right to free speech and free opinions. And though some people may say things we don't agree with, even, it's been said in these chambers, things against our president, against ICE, against a lot of things. And we've got, children dying here in the city of Bangor at the hands of adults. And we didn't see an outcry of people coming out public about that situation. And it was a comment he meant in private. He said he didn't hear it. Whether he did or not, he was making a private statement in his opinion. And whether we like it or not, think it was, disgusting and shocking, or however anyone took it, I feel that just because someone doesn't like what you say, it's not a reason to go to ethics. And if that happens, then I think it could be routinely, we could be sending each other to ethics. So my stand is, I feel he has a right to his own opinion, and I'm not going to send it to ethics.
Councilor Leonard?
For me, it's actually very easy. So Wayne, of course, you have a First Amendment right to say whatever you want, and I will always support your First Amendment right to say whatever you want. It is also important to remember, though, that whenever we say whatever the things that come to our mind, we don't necessarily have we're not free from the repercussions of what we say. And the difference between the ethics investigations that we've sent in the past. This one has a lot of public, I don't want to say backing, but there is a lot of public movement to actually have this conversation. And that's a really big driver for me. But the other big driver for me was, let's just keep it real. This body has no idea what it does when it does anything related to ethics or saying things that are in disagreement, or they disown the comments that other counselors made. So when I was censured on this body 3 times, for example, I never got a process to address those issues. I never had an actual trial for all that. So what I see this process doing is we are doing our due diligence to make certain that Counselor Maller actually gets the appropriate level of attention that is necessary that I never got 3 times. So I think this is the most responsible thing that we can do. On that alone, I'm comfortable saying it's the ethics, and I will go with whatever the ethics committee says on this matter, because I know that this council has no ability to have any opinion on something that another counselor says or not, because we keep bungling it up. So we might as well just send it to ethics.
Councilor Beck.
This conversation reinforces why I think it's important to send it to the ethics. We can't even agree on the same set of facts. And so that's why we have a body that can answer these questions for us. Because this wasn't just well, I didn't like what he said. There's implications to these words, and the fact that you've got a elected official speaking to a municipal employee in a municipal building about municipal issue after they were told they're on a hot mic, especially of what's being talked about here, that we're going to say that we're not going to increase the school budget because we shouldn't give people who don't speak English as the first language English instruction. Like that's illegal, And so if we don't think this should go to ethics, why do we even have a code of ethics? We'll just strike the whole thing and just replace it with First Amendment and call it good. I mean, what do we hold ourselves to? As an elected official, we make our disclaimers when we speak about things, and that's what you do. You disclaim, I only speak for myself, or you use language that's very clear that you're speaking for yourself. But all of this combined, the location, the people involved, the conversation, everything begs the question. I'm not going to get into the details. I think that's what ethics is for. And I would like to know what the findings are. And maybe the ethics will find that there's nothing wrong here, and so be it. But these are important questions to ask, and I am in support in moving this forward to get these questions answered. Thank you.
Councilor Dean.
I have one question, probably for a city solicitor. Before we go forward with this, could you let us know what the financial cost would be to send this to ethics so we can make a decision based on partially on that?
I don't know what the financial cost would be. It would depend on whether it is referred out to outside counsel or kept with the city solicitor guiding the ethics board. It also depends on what the ethics board decides to do in terms of gathering any additional documents or statements from individuals, how many meetings it takes them. But I would just suggest, Chair, that Counselor Maller be given an individual opportunity to participate in the discussion before any vote is taken.
Oh, well, he's coming up next. Anything else on your question? Councilor Mallow, did you want to speak? If it goes.
At this time, I have nothing to say.
Okay. All right. We will proceed with the vote. 26-152 order was moved and seconded. Seeing no further discussion.
Counselor Beck,
Yes.
Counselor Carson,
Yes.
Counselor Dean,
No.
Counselor Falloon,
Yes.
Counselor Fish,
No.
Counselor Leonard?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Hawes?
No.
5 yes, 3 no.
5 yes, 3 no. The order has passage, and this will be moved on to the Board of Ethics. That brings us to the end of the meeting. There is no further business. Any last comments from staff? What's left? No? I'm seeing head nods. Okay. Good night comments.
As always, it's great to be here with all of you. I appreciate everybody who comes in and tells us exactly what they think. And I want to appreciate all of you. I think I did this last time too, but who stayed the absolute entire time through
Bless you.
all of city business. I think it's impressive, but I really appreciate the engagement, and good night, Bangor.
Council Dean,
Good night, Bangor.
Council Leonard,
Good night, everybody.
Council Fish,
Good night, Bangor.
Council Walker.
Thank you to all those that showed up for public comment. I appreciate your voice and I hear you, and good night, Bangor.
Councilor Falloon,
Thanks for sticking with us so late and have a great night.
Councilor Beck,
I think everyone's heard enough from me tonight. Good night.
and thank you all for being here. And I will also say good night. We are adjourned.